This is the Symbiote podcast with me as the host, not Doug.
Symbiote?
Symbiote.
What?
Doesn't this sound like a nice Caribbean island? It's a nice Caribbean...
Symbiote.
I'm going to Symbiote for the summer. Isn't that great? Gonna go snorkeling. Gonna go murder some people.
Why murder people?
This is Comics Covered, though, for the week of August 29, 2018. Episode 40.
You're leaning into how you say dates now on purpose to annoy me.
You did this to yourself. But
no, you did this to me.
Doug, we're at episode 40. Is that nuts?
It is nuts. We're almost to 50. Just a couple months away, a little over a couple months away from 50. But
yeah. Why does it matter? Why does 50 matter? 40 is a pretty great number.
That's a landmark. 40 is, yeah, that's great. But 50 is that's a landmark number.
Well, 50 is great, but 100, that's a landmark number.
And I mean, once we get to 200, that's where the real show starts.
Well, 1,000, let's just, wow. In any case, that's probably the 40th time I said that. More, sorry. We're 40, we're having fun. See, we're still having fun. Last week I was in Minnesota.
I'm not having fun anymore. That sound was terrifying.
Oh, sorry. Last week I was in Minnesota with Doug. We recorded a live episode, joined by our whole cast of characters. No, I'm just kidding. We need to get what is it? Mashing buttons on here again. We need to get Brian and
we do.
Matt. Yeah,
we should get them on sometime. It's a little bit difficult doing remote with that many people, but we can try to make it happen sometime.
We never have games talk, so we should have a fully games thing. When Spider-Man comes out, we'll have a great games
we should
talk
definitely thing. We should definitely invite some of them on sometime around when Spider-Man comes out.
Yeah. Okay, well, on Comics Covered here, we talk about the comic books and the world around them, the comics industry, movies, TV, games. We'll also talk spoilers. And nothing. I'm not going to say anything about our language. Assholes.
I ain't gonna say shit about it.
We'll warn you about the spoilers, though. I'm Jack. I am new-ish to comic books. In general. So that's fun. It's great. It's been awesome. I'm here with my host, Doug, my co-host. Sorry. I can't even, who would be the host and symbiote between us?
See, that doesn't feel fair. I don't know. I guess if we're gonna go for pure metaphor here, me being kind of like the person who got into comics first, and you being the person who but maybe it's the other way around. See, I'm not sure what the perfect metaphor is for that relationship.
This is how I'm thinking of it. This is how I'm thinking of it. Eddie Brock is sort of the guy that gets introduced to this whole crazy world of the symbiotes and stuff by the symbiote. He was never like that. He has become more powerful because of it. So I feel like me being the host, the Eddie Brock sort of, I don't really know much about this world. You, as the symbiote, are making me stronger and more knowledgeable about this world. And we do it together.
Mm-hmm. Also, sometimes I compel you to eat human brains.
Yes. But yeah, I'm Jack. And Doug knows something I don't know.
I know many things Jack doesn't know. However, an interesting one here. I have an image for you to look at.
Okay. I gotta look at the image. Tab. I gave you shit last time you put a do not click one, so you didn't put a do not click. So I don't know if I should not click the second sheet or the first sheet.
You should click the first tab next to the rundown.
Okay. Here we go. I'm clicking
the one
character.
That's labeled character.
Let's see here.
Right.
That is a small head.
So, Jack is looking at an image here of a comic book character. He's going to make some guesses. I might lead him a little bit to some conclusions or ask him some questions.
This is a bizarre design.
And and then I'm going to teach him about whatever he isn't able to get, which was probably going to be most of it, because that's how this bit goes. And then I'll post this image, so if anyone is listening to this show sometime today, we should have an image of this up as of Sunday.
Yes.
On our Twitter and Facebook, so that you can see what Jack's looking at here if you want to check that out.
I'm really looking at it. Yeah, it's I guess, okay. Tell me if I'm getting this right. Man builds big gorilla suit without a head?
Can you just, moreover, can you just kind of describe what you're seeing here?
Okay, there's a human head, seemingly a man piloting this more gigantic suit, which has furry arms and looks like kind of like a gorilla that's standing up straight, but very thin legs. He should have done more on the legs, but big hulking chest, and he looks like he kind of has a mechanical diaper on as well that has an umbrella in the middle of it, which makes me think, like, Umbrella seems really, really random. So is this a character from, like, Umbrella Academy?
You are correct. It is from Umbrella Academy.
Okay. Hey, look at me. Look at me. And that's written by Gerard Way, correct?
You are correct again. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this guy... Okay. He must have something to do with gorillas. I have a question. Does he always not have a helmet, or does he have something he puts on his head usually?
He does. The collar there is made to fit a, like, bulb helmet. Like, yeah. Okay. A glass helmet.
So you should have given me something with the glass helmet on, right?
No, most of the time he doesn't have the helmet on.
That's weird. What if someone shoots him in the head?
I mean, what if someone shoots Batman in the head?
I guess so, but this doesn't seem as nimble as Batman, I guess. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
This looks like
a shot in the head. He avoids the shots. I don't know.
Bigger people usually have head protection because they are not as able to move around. Am I wrong?
I don't know that that's a specific rule.
Well, it's a little, I don't know. It's like, he's just
I think you're thinking about it too much.
No. I think the person that designed this didn't think about it enough. I think
it would look lame with a helmet on.
Well,
I think it looks cool as hell with the tiny, tiny little man head and the giant gorilla body.
It looks weird. Because also, how does he pilot the legs if he's so far up? Like, they must be fully mechanical, and he, like, has these levers or something in the torso, right?
Let me drop something on you here.
What?
He's not piloting it.
That is not just him.
That is his body.
That's... Why does he have tubes going all around him then? Is he a cybernetic thing? Like, what?
A little bit, maybe.
Was he born like this?
No.
So was it an accident that he became like this?
So a little bit. Well, I mean, not like an accident in that, like, he wasn't, like, accidentally fused with a robot. The fusing, with the gorilla. The gorilla fusing was purposeful, but there was an accident involved. A little bit of a, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a Robot Man situation going on here.
Okay. Huh. A Robot Man situation. Okay, so he was some, like, scientist, and he lost his body, and he created a new body. He must have been a real, like, Napoleon-style, scientist. He really wanted a big body.
He's not the scientist. He was a child when the accident happened to him. So
wait, so he was like a little kid in this huge thing before? Yes. That's absurd.
He had a child head on it.
Okay. But
he's like this in 95% of the book.
Like an old dude. Like he grew up like this. What the fuck? That is so weird. Okay, just tell me, who built this for him? Or not built? Was this... go ahead.
Let me just give you a little bit of information about the Umbrella Academy here. So, the Umbrella Academy was a group of child superhero characters. Who were adopted by a... So they were children who were all born simultaneously and without warning. None of their mothers were showing any signs of pregnancy. And around the world, 40... How many people is it? 48? 43 extraordinary children were born
Huh.
Just suddenly. And they all have powers. And this guy, Reginald Hargreaves, I think is his name.
Okay. You say Reginald or original?
Reginald.
Okay.
Reginald Hargreaves, aka the Monocle. And he's this rich adventurer dude, and he hunts them all down. And he's able to find 7 of them. And so these 7 infants, he raises as his own to be a superhero team. And this is one of them. They all have numbers. This is number 1 or number .01, I believe.
Okay.
Is technically how it is. He was a child with super strength. So.
And
what?
And okay, he had super strength, but how did he get a body? How did he lose his body?
His character's name is Space Boy, and it was his dream to go to space.
Why is
so
it
he went to
Space Boy?
He wanted to go to space.
Okay.
He wanted to go to space.
He's like that robot in Portal 2. Space!
He might not have had the name Space Boy before.
Okay.
This happened. That might have come after.
Okay.
Anyways, so he goes to space. Yes. Oh no, his name is Space Boy before. Because he was the first boy in space.
Okay, this is going off the rails. Why was he the first boy in space?
I don't know. There's a poster on this wall here I'm looking at. I'm looking through the book as I'm talking about this, and it says Space Boy, first boy in space. There's a picture of him in a spacesuit as a child.
Did they send the boy specifically to space because he wanted to go?
I don't know. I don't know the scenario.
Is this in the future?
I don't know. The weird alternate comics universe.
Okay, go on.
It's a weird sci-fi comic book universe. Anyways, so they send the boy to space. In a Mars mission, he's critically injured, and Professor Hargreaves, Reginald Hargreaves, performs an experimental surgery on him to save his life.
Okay. Save his life, he's not going to be disabled. He's going to save his life, this thing.
Yeah, this is to save his life. It's the only way. It's the only way you could have done it.
Only way.
This is what, if someone gets in an accident on, I-95 or whatever, this is the standard procedure.
But he already had super strength. You think that the priorities would be, for his life not to give him, this... do his powers really matter now? They don't seem to matter, right?
He's still got super strength. But he's able to power this robot, gorilla body / robot body, to be stronger than a normal gorilla, and than he was before.
I think I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Dear God,
you really got to let go of the logic on this one.
No, but it doesn't make. Okay, I know I was gonna say it doesn't make sense. Okay, wait, no, so his body is in there, right?
No, just his head.
But then where does his strength come from? That doesn't make any sense. Super strength is I don't see super strength as a mental power. You know what I mean? It's not like a mind over matter thing.
Why can't it be? You don't know how his powers work.
I get that, but then he's a psychic. He's not okay, here we go. Maybe his cerebellum is mutated so that it can but super strength has to do with muscles. Super strength, okay, is that his only superpower in this little thing?
He is super strong, and he has, I believe, a belt that allows him to fly, or something like that.
This is one of the weirdest non-joke characters I have ever heard of, I think.
Yep.
How do you even, I can't imagine a world where you'd imagine this character.
You should read the book. It's great.
I mean, I'm sure I've heard such good things from you specifically. And they're but why? I don't get it. I don't know if I've ever heard of a character with so little logic behind them. You know what I mean?
You are so hung up on the logic on this. It's just fun.
his body isn't in there. Where does his super strength? Okay, that's the thing I can't get over.
Maybe I'm conflating. Maybe he doesn't still have his original super strength. I don't know. Maybe now he just has super strength because he has a giant gorilla bot.
Like his Lex Luthor, like robot armor kind of thing.
Maybe that's his new source of super strength, and maybe that's why they gave him that body. I don't know. They don't really explain the reasoning behind it.
Reginald is so strange.
He is strange. Also possibly an alien.
Okay, my headcanon is gonna be that he does not have super strength anymore, and that Reginald is a psychopath that wanted a guy for his team still, and so he built a big suit for him.
I'm guessing this is on par. The robot / gorilla body he has now is separately powered from how he had super strength before, and is about as strong as he was.
Why a gorilla? That's the other thing.
Because they're big and strong.
But there's no point to have hair on it, to have, like, the boobs in the same place. Like, there's...
The point, Jack, is that it looks cool.
Does he feel pain?
Yeah, it's his body.
But Robot Man doesn't feel pain.
Robot Man has a robot body.
Yeah, but he does too.
He doesn't have skin. This has skin. It's been like his nerves have been all mucked up in this thing.
But why do that? Is that necessary? Why allow him to have pain? I feel like it would work better.
I don't remember that specifically. I'm making that up, to be honest.
Okay, but, I need to read this so I know everything about this that I can. How much of this story is there?
Well, okay, so there's two miniseries that are like 6-ish issues long, something like that. I've only read the first one. The second one, so there is the Apocalypse Suite, which is the first volume. The second one is called Dallas. That's the one I haven't read. It's yeah.
Those are really funny subtitles.
It is.
Like, so to go from the Apocalypse Suite to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So the second one. So there is a character who is a time traveling character, and I think the premise of the second one is basically that he goes back in time to the Kennedy assassination.
Okay.
And mucks around in that time. I'm gonna say mucks around a lot.
You did say that a bit. Okay.
Stuck in my head now. Anyways, this book is great, and I really am concerned that they're not gonna go full Space Boy on the Netflix series they're making about this show or about this book. And
I don't see any world in which they would make this exactly as it is, as you're telling me it, at least.
It'll probably be a toned down version of this. I hope it's not.
That's so random. And it was made, and this was written like in 2000s, right?
Yeah, not that long ago. I don't remember when it was originally published, but...
Like, I feel like if this was written in the Silver Age, one of those writers would be like, dude, you smoking some crack.
I mean, it's a love letter to, like, Silver Age and surrealist comic stuff, specifically Doom Patrol. So, like...
But Doom Patrol,
Doom Patrol does not make any more sense than this, bud.
I get it, but it's not about, like, making sense, per se. I'm fine with things not making... Okay... It's mainly like the logic within the story. You know what I mean? Like the robot thing,
I think there's plenty logic. I'm just not remembering enough of the details to sate your need for knowledge about this.
Okay.
I think it's what's happening.
Okay. I'm going to read this soon. I want to read this. This is troubling.
Anyways,
me.
Troubling. You are so fucking upset by this. You're so hung up on the logic.
I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways, if you want to look at that last one, it's just a picture of the whole team. Is all it is.
Oh, the whole team. Okay, let's see the whole team. Space. What does going to space have anything to do with the character?
He got injured in space. He goes up in space.
I guess so, but that backstory has nothing to do with the character. Okay, that's what I'm hung up at. The backstory has nothing to do with the character, what he is now. So why that backstory? It doesn't make any sense.
He can go into space now without a spacesuit. He has a helmet.
That really doesn't make any sense. Wait, he does it with the helmet?
Yeah, he puts the helmet on.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
He made this body specifically, maybe just on the inside, to go into space.
I think that's what the difference for me is, though. Because, like, in Doom Patrol, they create a backstory that makes sense to what the character is now. In this, I don't see at all how the backstory should make him have a gorilla robot suit.
The backstory is their adoptive dad was a fucked up, like, manipulative maniac who, like, basically forced them onto this, and he didn't have a choice.
And they go into that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then I might be happier with it.
And he's stuck in this monkey body now.
Okay, so is Reginald pictured as, like, a sort of, we don't really know whether to like you or not, you're kind of fucking weird, and you do kind of evil stuff sometimes?
He's not really alive in the main thrust of the book. But he is looked back on
not fondly.
Not necessarily so fondly.
Okay. You've sated me a bit more. Okay.
Sure.
You should have led with that.
I don't know what of this fucking bullshit you're going to latch on to. Apparently it was that bit.
It was that bit. Because, like, if they're going for the whole, like, this guy's crazy and he does fucking random stuff, if they dwell on that, then that makes sense that it's fucking random. But if it's just fucking random for the sake of being random, and just, it seems to come out of nowhere. It seems to come out of, Gerard Way's random My Chemical Romance lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
I went to space, and I was put in a gorilla costume. That's not what My Chemical Romance.
Are you a My Chemical Romance cover band?
Thank you. Yes.
That was pitch perfect.
I don't know if I've ever listened.
Or Pitch Perfect 2.
Or 3.
Was there a third?
Yeah, we only watched the first one with you, though. I have never listened to a single song by My Chemical Romance.
I feel like you probably have, and you just don't remember. I have no idea if I have, because I don't think that was my thing. But I'm sure in passing at some point I have heard a song. But I don't think they were a big deal a long time ago, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like in middle school, like emo era sort of stuff, Yeah. But like, I don't know if I've ever been aware of listening to an entire song by My Chemical Romance.
Oh, never purposefully. Yeah, that wasn't my scene.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't your
I'm
scene.
Sure I have heard a song.
Okay, Doug, how was your week? I'm really excited to see what you can talk about with your how was your week writing down here. I want to know what it is.
Okay, so I wrote down here just simply Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. So I've been on and off over the last year or so because I'm not great at getting myself to stick with marathoning through things. Also, long movie marathons are hard. Like watching a long series of movies.
Oh, anyways, yeah. Seriously?
So I've been coming back to this like once a month or something. But I've been trying to watch through all the old Godzilla movies, the Toho movies.
Oh my god,
I love those movies
so much.
I've never watched. There are a couple I've never seen, and there are some I wasn't sure if I had seen, and I've never just watched through all of them just to know that I've seen them all.
I love that you've watched these random movies, but you've never seen movies like Schindler's List.
I mean. My priorities, I think, are correct.
It's just so funny.
So I watched Godzilla versus the Smog Monster this week.
Okay.
And I don't really have a whole lot to say about it that you would probably find interesting.
Okay.
But if you've ever seen an old Godzilla movie, you should watch this one because it's fucking bonkers. It's like, imagine if Wes Anderson made a Godzilla movie. And he brought his cut of this movie to the studio and was like, here it is. And they were like, what is this? What is this movie? It's so ridiculous. The soundtrack is nothing like a Godzilla movie. It's this weird, 70s, or I guess more like late 60s. I don't remember when that movie came out. But, pop stuff, and then, it's all this big metaphor for pollution, but, there's cartoon bits which is not a thing in any Godzilla movies. They're just like in unexplained random cartoon segments.
You mean like Monty Python?
They're like just hand drawn, like it's not
vignettes.
Like, yes, sort of. It's just like, here's a weird little animated segment of the smog monster Hedorah coming in and gulping stuff out of a smokestack, and then he turns into a butterfly or some bullshit. I don't even know. Like, it's fucking weird, and it doesn't make sense why it's in there. And like the visual style in it is so specifically Wes Anderson. I feel like this has to be a secret influence on him. And it's like all I could think about while watching this movie. It's all these like this weird visual comedy and really specifically framed like centered shots. And like it's bizarre, really odd sense of humor. It's great, and I had not seen it before, and I was very excited by it. And I hope anyone who has a vague interest in that who hasn't seen it should watch it. Wow!
Did you watch it dubbed or subbed?
I watch all Godzilla movies dubbed. I know in general that is not the way to watch foreign films. I don't care. It is the way I grew up watching Godzilla movies. And for me, it is part of the appeal because the dubbed voice acting, I think, adds to the campy ridiculousness of those movies in a way that really complements them.
Okay, wow. I've always wondered, actually, in those dubs, in these ones, because they're all Japanese people still, right? On screen.
There's usually, like, a random American person or British person or something. Or, like, here's a ship full of Americans, and they get, like, taken out or whatever.
Are they dubbed, too, if they're a speaking character? Or are they, like...
Usually, it depends. I think usually they speak English and they do Japanese subtitles. So they're not generally dubbed or subtitled.
That is weird too. Okay,
so they're the only characters who actually speak English.
I'm wondering. Okay, because
I think it depends though.
Are the dubs usually like? Do they sound like Japanese people that are speaking English?
No.
They're straight up American.
They're straight up like, I'm a suave American, and I'm the leading man. Let's go over there and find the monster. And it's so ridiculously whatever era it's from, like 60s, 70s, 50s, when the movie came out, because they've been coming out forever. It's the most like prototypical or the most typical version of like campy like voiceover you can think of from that era.
Yeah. I'm excited for the day. Like, what if there's some random actor that's super big now that did a random, like, with some distinct voice? Like, what if Christopher Walken, like, before he got famous, did one of these dubs and it's just as random, like, oh, I don't know how to do a Christopher Walken voice, actually. Sorry. But, I don't know. That'd be crazy.
Bailed on that Christopher Walken real quickly.
Can you do that?
I'm not going to attempt.
The
wheels on the bus go round and round. I caught it right at the end there.
Right at the end,
I started.
That's good. That was good.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
You sound kind of like Tommy Wiseau and Christopher Walken had a baby.
Yes. I did not hit her. Now that we're done with our terrible impressions, you got anything you did this week?
Well, like I said, I was in Minnesota. It was fun. I came back, and now it's Labor Day weekend, which is fun. What does Labor Day weekend? Is it literally like people who are in jobs? Is that what it's there for?
It's a day off from labor. I'm sure there's a specific reason why we celebrate it. Labor Day is a public holiday honoring the American labor movement and its contributors.
Huh. Okay. Cool story, bro. Well, yeah. I just, I don't think I did much else. There's this cool show on Netflix called I Am a Killer, and they go in jails, like on death row and shit, and they talk to these people who, like, murdered people. and it's really cool. And this
people who are serial killers or just murderers?
Not necessarily serial killers, just people that murdered someone. And this guy, so he had a bunch of problems and was in jail for a long time. And he was in this thing called like, what is it? It's not solitary confinement, but it's that. It's like closed management or something, but it's the same idea.
Sure.
They're in the same place for 23 hours a day, and the 24th hour they had to go out or something like that. So he didn't want to do that anymore. So he just killed his cellmate so that he could get on death row because it has better, because it has better living conditions, and you like have your own TV and shit. So like this guy just like, okay, I'm going to kill someone because my life's down the shitter anyway. So I have better living conditions. And some people are on death row in these better living conditions for like sometimes 25 years.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts. Have you watched Mindhunter at all?
I haven't. We talked about it on the show. I watched I watched some of the first episode with my girlfriend Samantha, and she didn't like it that much, so she didn't want to keep watching, but I didn't want to keep watching. I was a little thrown off. I remember we talked about this actually like on the first or second episode. Because I
don't like the main actor.
The main actor, I had a little bit of trouble because it's hard for me to see him not singing and dancing. Not dancing, just not singing.
Sure.
But I need to go back because I like him as an actor. He's great. And I just need to go back and watch it. It wasn't really what I thought it was going to be, because the first part of it is kind of dealing with him, like he like has sex with some girl and he like
the first one is all set up for his character. I don't remember if they get into any of what the actual like long term thrust of the show is, which is that he is basically the first person to interview and do psychological profiles on serial killers.
Yeah.
In the world of the show, he's a fictionalized version of the real people who did that.
No, definitely. I want to get back to it. I think, it just threw me off and I haven't gotten back to it. So, anyways, I'm going to do it. But, do you want to, let's go into news.
All right. So first bit of news this week. So it was a big there was a big push this week on social media / just kind of on the web in general.
You change so much of your vocal patterns when you try and figure out the right words to say in a dicey situation.
So big push from high-profile creators in the comics world against the movement Comicsgate, which has been a big thing on social media for the last, or at least a very vocal thing on social media for the last few years, specifically like the last year or two here. It is a movement that basically denounces the kind of push for the kind of recent push for more diversity and diverse voices and female voices in comics, in the comics industry, both on the creative side and in the characters themselves. And it is a movement that is against that, because they think it's being forced on them, I guess, is the reasoning. And they are also known for horribly harassing minority creators and female creators on social media, oftentimes causing them to get off the platform. So it's been a big thing in the last week. Big creators like Jeff Lemire, Bill Sienkiewicz, Tom Taylor, Tom King, lots of other folks have kind of sounded off on this. There was a specific incident involving Comicsgate allied people were trying to claim that I don't know if you're familiar, Jack, with the comic book writer and artist who passed away this last year, I believe, Darwin Cook.
No. Wait, I feel like I recognize that name though.
I probably talked about him on the show before. He's done a lot of really great, usually DC related things, some indie stuff. But he did a really, really, really great book called DC: The New Frontier, and he did a fantastic Watchmen, really the only worthwhile Watchmen prequel comic when they were doing those.
The Minutemen one?
About the Minutemen. That one's really good.
Okay.
He did a lot of kind of pulp stuff, like throwback stuff to like the Golden Age, Golden and early Silver Age stuff. Okay.
So anyways, what were people saying?
They were pointing to interviews with him and stuff and saying, Darwin Cook would have supported Comicsgate, basically. And he, which is kind of messed up to put words in the mouth of a guy who just died. For your very controversial movement, that harasses people. And, Darwin Cook's wife, apparently reactivated her Twitter account.
Oh.
To say, hi, this is Darwin's wife, and I can guarantee he thought you Comicsgate idiots were a bunch of crybaby losers ruining comics, period, because you are, period.
Oh, shit.
So then, basically, that set off a lot of... she basically got harassed off of Twitter again.
Jesus.
And then, so that prompted Jeff Lemire and Bill Sienkiewicz to make big statements. Jeff Lemire saying Comicsgate is based on fear, intolerance, bigotry, and anger. It's time we all started standing up for one another. Bill Sienkiewicz put up a big, long Facebook message.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of some very harsh language against them.
Colorful language.
Then the like one that made the most kind of social media traction was a post from Tom Taylor, which is a very specific statement that he was encouraging people to copy and paste and repost, in which he said, "I believe comics are for everyone. There is no excuse for harassment. There's no place for homophobia, transphobia, racism, or misogyny in comics criticism." So a lot of people were taking that post and reposting it, and it was all over comics Twitter early this week, which I think was really heartening to see lots of people kind of echoing that statement and kind of a stand against it. Tom King specifically put a post up kind of supporting it, but also kind of like, I think, being more specific in his beliefs, in which he specifically says, comics aren't for everyone. Created by the children of immigrants, it is the medium of the outsider and the outcast, the nerd who won't fit in. We exist, we thrive because we recognize and amplify the voices of those who must struggle mightily to be heard. We say, I'm here.
Yeah.
And so he's not necessarily disagreeing with like the anti-Comicsgate statement. I think he is, in his way, supporting kind of that sentiment, but kind of, I think, saying like being like, actually, no, like, this is bullshit because, like, this is a medium kind of started by and highlighting, like, basically minority voices in whatever form that takes. And that is something we should actually be championing because that is an integral part of the medium, which I think is a really interesting take on it. But yeah, so, in general, I've tried to avoid talking about Comicsgate stuff other than the couple, like we've talked about it a couple times, because I don't want to legitimize them. Like, it's bullshit, and like, they're a vocal minority, and they shouldn't be given any more airtime and attention than, like, is needed.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, since, like, everyone is, all the, like, the creative world seems to think now is kind of the time to sound off on it, like, if we can help to kind of, like, try to, I don't know, add our voices to that and echo that sentiment.
I have a question. Isn't it absurd that, like, after hearing someone closer to the person that they were trying to put words in his mouth, isn't it absurd that the response is not to have like introspection, to think, oh, really? Wow, that's interesting. But the response is instead to harass a widow for telling them, isn't that like, doesn't that kind of, okay, have you seen that video with the guys from the Peep Show where they're like Nazis or some analog of them and they're like, are we the baddies? Like, doesn't that kind of put off a light bulb in your head? Be like, are we the baddies? Are we the bad guys?
Just have a moment where you realize, like, wow, what we're doing is pretty fucked up. Like we probably shouldn't be harassing the wife of a recently deceased man here. Like, we should probably leave her alone for literally saying, like, hey, this is what my husband thought.
To be fair, she did add insult to injury a little bit to them, and she could have done that in a little more diplomatic way.
But also they were leveraging her dead husband for their fucked up, like, racist harassment campaign.
Yes. No, exactly. Exactly.
No, seriously, fuck off.
Yeah. I did not know that was that's absurd. Yep.
It's just at every turn, that movement kind of like just undercuts itself with how much of a bunch of bag of dicks they are. So,
God, I just like, did you say bag of dicks?
I was about to say, I apologize if you are offended by that, but no, if you identify with the Comicsgate movement, I don't think this show is for you, to be honest. But
I mean, not really, because I'm sure that they all hate the book that I like a lot right now, which is Life of Captain Marvel. They probably absolutely hate it because it's everything they hate about. Because I watched a couple videos by the guy. What's the guy? His channel.
Diversity in Comics.
That one. And just to like hate listen to it, because I wanna like, you know when you like read something or you listen to something that you just know you're gonna hate, and you just like want to, I don't know, you want to have that experience almost sometimes.
I get it. There's a morbid curiosity to see like what the fucked up shit people are saying about stuff, especially when it's that kind of wrong-headed.
Yes, but see, that's also, like, I know that's not something that I should be doing because it's not really my style, and I shouldn't be seeking out stuff that I actively hate. And that's something that I started thinking about today. Like, why don't these people just not buy the comics that they don't want to read?
Like, okay, like, let's put aside all the blatant racism and sexism and all that stuff.
You can be racist, you can be sexist, whatever. That's fine, even if you don't say that.
It's not... Okay, no, it's not fine, but just for a moment, let's just silo that off just for a second and just make another point here that maybe we'll get through to them. Like, just... I don't know. I don't even know how to word it. Like,
it's easy. It's very simple.
Like, just don't read. Just if you don't like it, don't fucking read it. Like they have this. Like it's wrapped up in a larger societal thing right now that really fucking frustrates me. It's tied in with a lot of the Star Wars stuff right now, like specifically around like Last Jedi. It's around a lot of like harassment stuff around media properties and stuff.
But what it's also,
games culture is very wrapped up in this.
Oh yeah, I heard about the Kotaku thing. Right? You remember that?
What specifically?
It's some publication that like people were blackballing because they thought they weren't giving them like correct representation or something like. I don't
know. I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but anyways, it's this idea that like you as a fan of a media property own that fucking thing, and if they do things that you don't like, you are being wronged.
Yeah,
and that is so fucking wrong-headed. Like. You do not own the creative output of other people. Like, you don't.
Yeah. Like, I hear about these people that have these pulls of, like, they pull everything that's Marvel or everything that's DC or just everything. And, like, I feel like some of these people probably pride themselves on getting most of these books or all these books. Like, that's who they are, who they define themselves as. But that doesn't mean that you get to say, you know, I don't like what I'm pulling in, and I'm pulling in everything, so you better change what I'm pulling in. like, okay, if I'm a wrestling fan, and if wrestling like was able to siphon off different storylines so that I could subscribe to this wrestler's storyline and not hear about this one, then I would probably do that. I wouldn't be like, oh, I have to watch this full 3-hour show. Oh, then fuck you for putting out the product. But I can't do that, so that sucks. But you can do that with comics. You can siphon off whichever story you want. So I don't get the fucking problem. Like, sure, your identity is comics, and maybe you love it, and maybe you hate where it's going. But you know what? Maybe you need to have some fucking introspection and figure out who you really are apart from something that you apparently hate right now.
Yeah, like, why are you basing so much of your identity around something that you don't like? Just don't fucking read it.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I don't know. I just don't understand the, like, lack of self-awareness that it takes for someone to, like, specifically rail against, like, minority creators and female creators and trans creators, and just, like, how can you not notice, like, how can you fucking not notice that pattern?
The lowest common denominator. Seriously, it's crazy.
It's insane.
I just wanted to get a little word in about the thing that you disagree with me on. That CB Sapolsky this week was in an interview and mentioned specifically, and they do mention that it seemed like a very prepared statement from Marvel corporate that they are planning to make sure they put out stories and not have overly political themes in them.
But that's not, I don't think that's necessarily what he's saying. What he's saying is in typical corporate, like, fashion. Not really saying anything.
Yeah.
He says, like, yes, Stan Lee also always said the world, or Marvel has always been, as Stan Lee said, always said, the world outside our window. It's a reflection of the modern times that we live in. And he talks about, like, how they do reflect the world around them. And he says, like, that we do try to reflect the world and the politics around us. He also says, at the end of the day, we're a company about entertainment. I don't know that he's necessarily wrong there. I don't think that he's condemning political messages in books. I think he's definitely, yes, hedging his comments to not piss off part of the community.
Yeah.
But, I think this is more of a corporate doublespeak way of saying, like, we're cool with people talking about, like, it's...
I think it's corporate doublespeak, but I think it's still, like, a direct response to everything that's going on here.
I don't think he's
right?
specifically saying, like, we can't let our comics get too political. I think that he's saying that, like, yes, we're political. I think our higher priority is just generally entertainment.
Storytelling.
But, like, he's saying that they do allow politics in their books.
Mm-hmm. Also,
I just think it's honestly not saying that much. Like, yes, you can see it as a response to, like, this stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think he's, like, really condemning or endorsing anything.
Okay, my last point is that I saw that a main defense of this is that a defense against, like, the sort of transphobic, sexist, racist stuff, like, a defense, like, for that movement is that they're not about, like, all the ists, all the transphobic shit. Like, they say that it's about, good writing. They just don't like the writing, which brings back to the point, then don't fucking read it. Like, if it's truly about the bad writing in your eyes, if you think it's bad writing, don't subscribe to it.
But also, it's, like, okay, it's yes, that, definitely. But also, like, it specifically shows a pattern of apparently bad writing specifically comes from women and black folks and trans writers and artists. And, like, it is a specific targeted pattern. Mm-hmm. And, like, yes, you can say it's about bad writing all you want, but apparently bad writing is those things.
Yeah.
And it's like having messages about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't even, I can't fucking fathom the idea of, like, keep your politics out of my books. Like, if you don't agree with the particular politics in a book, yes, don't read it. But, like, there's no fucking world in which, like, you can tell creative people, hey, don't put don't put political messages in your stories or in your art. Like, that's not legitimate.
And honestly, you know me, I've talked about on this show about my views on Wall-E and how I don't like that movie because I think it's incredibly heavy-handed and annoyingly put out there the message of that movie. I think it's written badly for the movie. But I don't watch that movie.
And you don't go, the big difference is you're allowed to not like a thing.
Yeah.
You're allowed to not like how a message is portrayed in a thing. That's not even necessarily wrong. But you're not saying that nobody should ever put, like, messages about, like, environmentalism in their work. And you're not going on social media and harassing the people who made Wall-E off of social media by organizing large targeted harassment campaigns.
Yes, like, exactly. Like,
like they do all of those things. And we should move on because we're getting way down the rabbit hole on this, and it's hard not to because it's just absolutely infuriating.
I know.
And like I just don't fucking read shit you don't like, and leave creative people alone if you don't like their work. Like, I don't get it. Anyways, that's really all. That's really all I think we've got to say about it.
Okay.
So got anything else?
Well, yeah. No, I think that's about wraps it up. Okay. I want to talk a little bit because DC said that they're gonna launch their DC universe September 15th, changing the subject. I really wanted to talk about, though, on this show, they said that the anatomy lesson from Alan Moore's run of Swamp Thing is going to be basically an episode, a part of this TV show. So they're going to put that to screen, which is really fucking cool because it's one of the best things, I think, a part of it. Like discovering sort of Alec Holland's relationship to Swamp Thing and what that means for the character and stuff.
I'm curious how that's going to work, if that's going to be like the first episode or something. I think there's a way you could do it. Yeah. But I'm wondering if it inherently loses something by this being the first thing you learn about the character.
You mean like it'd be better if we like had a whole series and then figured out, oh, he's been thinking he's Alec Holland.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of what the reveal is. Like, Swamp Thing.
Okay, wait 1 second. I'm sorry. We should do spoilers for this, right?
Oh, yeah. Spoiler warning for Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, basically.
Yeah.
If you've never read Alan Moore's run of Swamp Thing, we're going to spoil. It's the first issue, but it's a big reveal. Yeah. It's a big reveal. Basically, the idea in it is that, like, Alec Holland has always believed that he's a man who was transformed into the Swamp Thing in an accident. And what the first issue of Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing does is it says, like, no, actually, Alec Holland died and his body was eaten, basically absorbed by this, like, chemically affected swamp. And the swamp now has absorbed his memories and basically thought it was Alec Holland. And that's the reveal. And that reveal, I know it was, I think for both you and I, it was probably our first real experience with the character. Oh, you read the winter special before that, and I think I'd probably read some random stuff with him in it. Before. Yeah. Winter special and random others like Milk Wars. I read with him in it, and like team stuff maybe. But like in terms of like, I don't know, like a real run or whatever. Yeah, I think both of our first experience, and like. But you go in knowing kind of the basic premise of the character and that he's been around for a while. Yes. And like maybe they can make that work by if they imply that Swamp Thing's been around for a while. They could make that work. But I feel like the inherent fact that this is the first bit of media about him in the show, if it like kind of takes a little bit of the punch out of that reveal. Yeah. No, it kind of becomes the premise for the character. In a lot of ways. Definitely. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of mad I read it, honestly. But hey, we'll see.
I'm excited for that show. You know, hopefully, I hope it looks better than some of the other stuff that's on there. And,
why are you mad you read it?
Well, because, like, if I didn't know that they were going to do that, and then...
Oh, you mean like that you read the news story?
Oh, yeah, the news story.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm excited
I thought you meant like you were mad that you read that issue of Eleanor Swamp Thing.
Oh,
like,
God,
what?
no. Oh, God, that's one of my favorite issues, like, in comics,
so
I think.
It's fantastic.
It's so well put together.
It's one of his best, like, single issues.
Yeah, I think. Definitely. Okay, well, that's about it for news. I didn't really see that much about news this week, but, I know they had
there wasn't a whole lot in like specifically comic stuff.
Yeah. So, Doug, we read comics. Let's go on into our weekly comics. We read comics. Doug and I. We read them all the time. We both read books. Doug read one other book that I didn't read, but I'm going to read it. I just haven't read it yet. We both read, though, Marvel 2-in-1 number 9, Web of Venom, Venom, and House of Muck, number 1. Mm-hmm. And Doug read Hillbilly, Red-Eyed Witchery from Beyond, number 1. The first Hillbilly that is not drawn and colored and everything by Eric Powell, correct?
I can't recall if there was ever... I think so. I think this is, at the very least, the first full issue that is not drawn by him. I don't. I think that's the case. That it's the first anything. Not drawn by him.
Let's start off with that. Like, you were going to give me non-spoilers stuff for that. So before a spoiler warning, we're going to do non-spoilers setup for this and your thoughts.
All right. So you read the first trade of Hillbilly.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So this is Eric Powell's Hillbilly. Normally he writes, draws, colors, letters, everything. Eric Powell is a favorite creator of mine. I really like that book. It's basically a series that's about Rondell the Wandering Hillbilly, and he has the Devil's Cleaver, and he hunts witches.
Yes.
Is basically the book. If you read the main series, they go over time. They delve more and more into his backstory and kind of where his life goes. But in general, it's a series that's about kind of him encountering various witches and monsters and things, and saving towns from their menace and all that. And it's Eric Powell kind of delving into Appalachian kind of myth in a sense. Like it very much feels like a like Southern folk tale, mixed with fantasy elements. And that's what the main series is. This one is the first one done with art by someone else. It's still written by Eric Powell, and it's kind of I don't know if I'd call it a spin-off, because it's still just about Rondell, and it's just it's just like a complete break, like change of pace from the regular book, because the regular book got towards the end, like, got real caught up in a longer running story arc that just kind of wrapped up. And this is kind of just going kind of back to basics in a lot of ways. It's just, this is, as they say in the beginning of every issue of Hillbilly, there are many tales of Rondell the Wandering Hillbilly.
Okay.
This is but one. So this is going to be a 4-part mini-series, all one story, about just a different adventure that Rondell went on. The art by Simone DeMeo. And I didn't know anything about this artist. And I always go into a book written by Eric Powell with art by someone else a little bit kind of on the fence about if I'm gonna enjoy the art or not, just because I really, really love Eric Powell's art.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite comic book artists. And this art is fantastic. Yeah. Really, really complements Eric Powell's writing style. It reminds me a lot. The story well,
it
does.
Is it really hard to get because you've read all the other stuff? Is it hard to get used to it being drawn in a different way since it's really only been drawn in one specific way?
I didn't find it all that hard to get into. It's a very specific art style. It's very stylized, and like it feels very natural.
Huh.
I really like the way that DeMeo draws Rondel. It's slightly different. It's very different from how Eric Paul draws him, but it's the same basic look and everything. You know, he's got the long beard, he's crying black, and he's got a big like round hat. And he's got the Devil's Cleaver. Like it all felt very natural. Like it didn't feel like a significant departure from how like the character was portrayed visually, just stylistically. Like the line work is different.
That's good.
The only like really like style wise touch point I have is I'm blanking on the name, but in the Sentry, Jeff Lemire's The Sentry book, the Kim Jacinto art, that stuff, specifically like the faces, it's that very like cartoony, angular, kind
almost
of style.
anime.
There's bits of anime. I guess I could see it, but it's like cartoony, but like kind of horrific looking in a weird way.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyways, it really, really works with Eric Powell's writing, and it's like we're really only getting kind of the setup in this book, but I'm excited to see where it goes. It feels a bit more like they're delving a little bit more into fantasy. Sometimes the series gets a little bit kind of surreal in how it mixes Southern culture and like fantasy elements. Like they go to this. I don't consider this a spoiler. This is very light. This is just a place they go to in the issue. I'm not going to say a plot point or something, but like it's basically like an old Viking like hall, like mead hall.
Okay.
And it like doesn't really, it doesn't really make sense why this is in the American South.
Yeah.
But like this series has always kind of blended that kind of line, and I think it just feels like they're kind of just leaning a little bit more into that in this one. Because it's always been a little bit kind of surreal in that way.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed this.
I'm excited. My story has it for me, but I just wasn't able to pick it up on Wednesday. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think this is specifically like whether you have read anything. I mean, like I think it benefits you having read a little bit of Hillbilly.
Yeah.
So you have like a kind of a basis for who the character is, but like I think anybody could pick this up and really, really enjoy it. They give you kind of the very briefest of in-context clues to who the character is. So I think even someone who's never read a Hillbilly thing could pick this up and enjoy it. I'm a really big fan. And also just fucking Red-Eyed Witchery from Beyond.
Yeah.
Fucking title.
Craziness. So good. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Let's follow it up with another little nice surprise this week. I know we've been talking about Venom by Donny Cates, and he came out with his first, I guess, one shot with having to do with Venom, The Web of Venom, which is this one's called Venom. Doug was telling us about how he was skeptical about the Vietnam sort of in the war Venom kind of stuff, but they really went, interesting, not expected direction with this, with a couple characters that, in Donny Cates fashion, relating a couple characters that aren't usually, a part of that sort of lore. So really awesome. We, this is our spoiler warning, by the way. In this story, we are mostly following the original Nick Fury and Wolverine, which is really perfect, honestly, and it's really cool. Like,
especially for a Vietnam story, like it feels supernatural and organic, and it feels right. Yeah,
and we get the little like at the end, we get the little LMD reference in there, which I know from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I'm really glad I was aware of that. Doug, tell me what you thought, because I think you had more like of an idea of what you were expecting from this.
I don't know that I necessarily knew more what I was expecting of this than you did.
Okay.
But like, I wasn't sure. I'm not huge on war comics, like in general. Like that's just not really my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big like soldiers and combat stuff. Like, for the same reasons I don't really play like shooters and stuff. Like, I don't know. That's just not really like my aesthetic or my type of story or anything. And I really liked the handling of these characters in this. It was like, it was in a war setting, but it wasn't really like a war story at all.
It's more like akin to Predator. Have you seen that original movie?
I have not, actually.
Oh, you asshole.
But I can see. No,
in Predator, there are a bunch of war guys going around the jungle, and they just encounter the Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It reminds me of that.
It's more of a setting than it is like it's a war story.
Yes.
So we get to know a little bit. We don't learn that much about Rex Strickland, the character from Donny Cates' Venom run.
Not really at all.
No, not really. But honestly, this was set up as like this big backstory lore dump on this character and on the history of this like weaponized Venom military program.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it wasn't really.
No.
We didn't really learn all that much at all about that. It was really just kind of like, here's a fun, tense story with Nick Fury and Wolverine where they're like hunting these killer Venoms, symbiotes through the jungle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just fun, and like I think it was a really good use of a flashback thing. Like, I don't know that I needed to. I feel like I got enough out of their implications about what the history of this was, like out of the main Venom series. I don't think I needed all that much more to kind of get it, and I think that like they just used this as an opportunity to tell a fun, cool one-off story.
Yeah, and, you know, the next Web of Venom thing is the Carnage Born one, so I guess we know a little bit more what to expect from that, too. It's just going to be kind of like building the Venom sort of symbiote sort of universe kind of thing, or just a fun story thing. But we do also get, symbiote Wolverine in this.
We do. He has the symbiote. Although I was a little confused. I'm not 100% sure on the like timeline of Wolverine and stuff, but did Wolverine, like, not have his claws for a reason in this? Because he never popped them.
He never popped them out, didn't he? Yeah.
No, not at all. And I kept waiting for it. I was like, oh, when is he going to pop the claws? And he never did. Even when he turned into Venom, I was like, oh, maybe they're withholding it. So when he gets the symbiote, then he'll pop his claws, and then he'll be like a symbiote with claws, and it'll be like the big dramatic moment. But, like, he didn't even do that.
Actually,
there might be a canon reason why he can't use or doesn't use his claws at this point in time. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. By the way, I was looking at this. Are you going to read this Thanos Legacy thing that's theoretically setting up Infinity Wars by Donny Cates?
I don't think so, because it sounds like it's a tie-in to Infinity Wars, and I'm not reading Infinity Wars. I kind of missed the boat on that. And, I don't know. Like, as it's co-written between Donny Cates and Jerry Dugan, the guy who's writing Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that I'm going to get much out of it with it being a tie-in to Infinity Wars.
I can feel that.
I could be wrong, but like, I don't know. That's my impression, is that like, I'm just going to be like, okay, this doesn't do anything for me because I don't really care about the thing it's connected to.
I got you. In any case, Web of Venom. Cool.
By the way, if in case anyone who listens to the show normally has not noticed, we didn't have that many books this week, so we just we would just skip our normal. We usually do cover of the week and panels of the week and all that, and we just didn't have a whole lot to pick from. Although I could have maybe scrounged some stuff up, but it just felt like it was a fairly limited pool this week. We had on this fifth week. I had 4 books. Jack had 3.
Well, I'm gonna have 4, but
okay.
I picked up 3. Yeah.
But anyway, we didn't have many books to pick from, so we're just going to talk briefly about all these books.
Okay. Let's talk briefly a little bit about House of Muck here. Okay. This is our new series that we got. By IDW Publishing, written by Chris Sabella McManus does the art, I guess.
Yeah, that's I'm trying to find a first name.
Yeah, I don't know his first name.
I see McManus. Don't know the first name.
I was not too impressed with this book. I didn't really feel gripped by the plot until really the end, where they kind of set up the premise for the book to come. So this story, I guess, is detailing this family who all believe the world is kind of ending, or it's run by these alien demon things, and that they're the only ones that know about it. But they frame it in this book in a way that you kind of question, is this a shared psychosis that they're doing between this family? And it seems that the main crux of it that they reveal at the end is that one of the daughters, who has a twin in the family, one of them kind of snapped out of this shared psychosis and doesn't believe it anymore. But does she go with her family that she has a super, good relationship with, or not good necessarily, super close relationship with, or does she keep her, does she tell them, guys, I think we need help? Which is interesting to me, and is the most interesting part of this book, but that was so little of this first book, and I'm not sure if I liked the writing enough to really continue.
So I picked this book up because we had a really light week.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh sure, I'll give and not indie book. This is from IDW's Black Crown label, but it's IDW's a decently sized publisher, but a non Big Two book, anyways. From a smaller creator, smaller team, and I thought the premise sounded vaguely interesting. I'm not huge on following a character's psychosis, their delusions, through the whole thing. I find,
because you don't like it's all in their head stuff.
Not really. I mean, there are exceptions,
obviously,
but there's a way to do that well. But in general, it's not a concept that I super enjoy in general. But so I didn't go into this book with huge expectations. I just kind of picked it up, just sure, why not? I'll give it a chance. And I with low expectations found myself, I think, kind of pleasantly surprised. I found that even though, yes, these characters are acting, according to a weird logic that doesn't make sense, because the family was kind of all in on it together, you kind of do just accept it as kind of the logic of the story, even though, you're clearly mentally knowing that this is all fucked up and wrong.
Yeah.
But you can kind of grasp more the, it feels more real because it's all these characters are bought in on it. So I thought that was an interesting element that kind of I wasn't expecting to add something all that much to it, and I think actually interestingly structurally added something that was interesting to me. And then also, I think a big appeal about this book to me was I think the interest is kind of, at least in this first issue, is kind of all in the mysterious and slow kind of doling out of all the information. Because you get little bits and bits of pieces. You get it all through context, through conversation. You never get this big dump of here's what we're all doing. I'm still kind of figuring out exactly what the deal is. And it's all tied up in these kids writing stories, and the family are trying to act out or follow the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think is part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. One of my favorite little touches in this is they specifically draw the eyes of the entire family, except for the one girl that isn't subscribing to it anymore, in the same way. And the one that's not, they all have this glazed over pupil, iris look. And the one girl that's not doing it has normal looking eyes, theoretically. Do you notice that?
They all have,
look at the last,
that's the case.
one of the last panels.
I'll have to look at that.
The second to last panel, where it has both the girls, you can clearly see the difference. One of the twins has like the glazed over eyes that the whole family has, and one of the twins has like just regular old blue eyes.
I guess that's hard to tell unless they're all in. Unless you get a close.
You can tell it again in the car when the son is looking out the door, and you can tell it. It's really interesting.
Sure.
That's one
so
of
like
those.
They all have kind of like lighter eyes, like more kind of foggy eyes. Is that what you're?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sure.
That's one thing I really liked. That was one little touch. I like the idea. I just don't know if it's. I don't know if I like the writing enough to really go further. I don't know what it is. I don't think
the writing was anything amazingly special. And I wasn't like. I'm not saying like I thought this book was amazing or something. Really, all I'm saying is like I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And like. I might pick up the second issue just because I'm curious where, like, even just like from a storytelling perspective, where are they going to go from here?
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I'm curious enough from the setup to like be like, I don't know where this is going to go, and I kind of want to know.
Like they murdered a lot of dudes, and they found their house.
They did murder a lot of people. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I was more interested than I thought I was going to be.
Okay.
And yeah, I can see the faults you have.
Yeah. Well, cool. It was interesting. I might, who knows, on a whim, if the next one comes out on a light week or something.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. Something about it clicked at least a little bit more than I thought it was going to.
I got you. Very cool. Well, we also had another book, which has a interesting ending. It was one Marvel 2-in-1, number 9. The best title in comics.
Please give it the full title, Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing and the Human Torch.
No, The Human Thing and Torch.
The Human Thing.
Okay, so we got Human Torch Thing. They don't have powers because they're not around there, Reed and Sue. They're stranded in a dimension by the Doctor Woman, Rachna, and Mr. Dr. Doom. I forgot his name a little bit.
Mr. Dr. Doom.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Doom. There's this... Sorry, that was a tangent. I'm going to stop myself. They are stuck in this dimension that's ruled by an evil Peter Parker. And they are kind of on the run, and Johnny just found out that Ben knows Reed and Sue are dead and that there's no hope, theoretically, that...
As far as they know,
to find them alive. And so this issue, we find out... And, okay, in the background of this whole story, the Mad Thinker has been madly thinking of a way to make a new Fantastic Four, an evil Fantastic Four. And it seems that they have followed the energy signatures of Reed Ben.
Well, I think he specifically got, so they sent out a multiversal message to try to get, because they're stuck in this dimension, to try to get help. And I think they imply in this issue that that the message was sent not just to Earth's heroes, but to anyone who would listen.
Oh, I didn't get that. I thought they said this
he says, oh God, where does he say it? There was like a line where one of the characters cut him off, that I think was implying that I'm not sure. Oh yeah, he says some guys have taken. So this is the alternate universe version of Amadeus Cho.
Yeah,
who's a character in the regular universe. He's a Hulk character. Anyways, so he's been helping them send this message out. And he says some guys have taken the town hostage. Powers. They don't think they're Spidey gang, but they're asking for you and Johnny. Maybe it was my multiversal message. I tweaked it so it also went through, and then his radio gets destroyed.
Okay.
So I think the implication is that like it also went through to villains, or it went through to not, or I think maybe just the implication is it went through to more than just the Avengers.
But also later, the Mad Thinker mentions, and this is the last spot in the multiverse that has their energy signatures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they use their energy signatures, yes, to specifically find where they were, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a mix. It's a mix of something.
Evil Fantastic Four is in this evil Peter Parker run universe now, and they want to kill Ben and Johnny because they ain't the Fantastic Four anymore. And so we get a nice little, I liked like the fight scene. It was good. Like I love, just like how you were reading in Batman, how like, I guess, okay, spoilers for Tom King's run of Batman. How like that one part where Poison Ivy took over and like was taking over Superman, and how she didn't know how to use his powers in the best way. In the same vein here, they sort of take advantage of them just having developed these powers, these evil people, which was, I think, a really cool way for them to do it. I really liked it. What?
Yeah, they take advantage of like having been around powers very similar to these.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of their lives, like he knows when Ben Grimm knows when an invisible person is sneaking up on him.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. Also, I just like the like subtly shifted kind of versions of the powers that these characters have.
Oh yeah.
Like the guy with invisibility, like his powers work by bending light, and so when they like disorient him, like everyone gets this weird like trippy vision because they can't see straight.
Yeah.
And because his powers kind of go out of whack, and like I think Chip Zdarsky is really good at coming up with clever new ways to play with existing power sets.
Definitely. No, I love that. That was specifically because then that caused the other person to fly in the wrong place. And then, like, Ben Grimm lures the strong person to hit all of the support beams of this house, which crashes on them. Like, it's such a really well-crafted scene, which makes me it's kind of weird how they deal with Mr. Fantastic because they don't really do that in a clever way. But whatever.
Also, he has stretchy powers. They don't really he doesn't really do much with the stretchy powers. He like grabs someone at a certain point and it like punches some stuff. But,
yeah, he grabs Johnny. I thought that they were gonna try and lure him to tie himself up and not know how to like get untied or like freeze him in that area. I don't know. But
also, I feel like it was a big missed opportunity with like they hint at this a little bit, but like big missed opportunity with Johnny, who literally just found out that as like to him, Reed and Sue and their kids are dead. And all of a sudden, Mad Thinker, an old villain of theirs, shows up who's like changed. He's basically in a Reed Richards costume.
Yeah.
And has given himself Reed Richards powers. He's got stretchy powers and like is claiming to have replaced them. And like I feel like Human Torch should be more pissed.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it would have been cool if they played up sort of he sees them from a distance angle. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know. He sees them from a distance, been like, "Oh my god, Ben, you weren't lying. They're alive. They're right there." And he like runs towards them or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That could have been a thing. I just feel like the reaction Johnny Storm should have had to seeing the Mad Thinker disguised as Reed Richards and pretending to be Reed Richards is to be after finding out that he's dead.
Yeah.
To be like, fuck you, dude. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like,
I can feel
like
that.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm armchair writing this book right now, which is something I hate. But
okay.
Anyways,
well, let's talk about this ending, Doug.
Yeah. So we've had some kind of qualms about how does this book fit in with the recently relaunched Fantastic Four book written by Dan Slott, art by Sarah Pichelli. And at the end of this book, we've been confused because Thing and Human Torch are stuck in the multiverse. They're not able to get back to Earth. And in that book, in that Fantastic Four book, they're just on Earth. And they're getting a signal from Reed and Sue that, they're still out there and they're going to somehow reunite. Anyways, so end of this issue, while they're still stuck in the multiverse, They've been depowered because, as this series has revealed, without all 4 of them being together, they lose their powers. End of this book, they're lying passed out on the ground, and slowly, as we get to zoom in on them, arm turns back to rock, and the Human Torch's head starts to kind of flame up a bit, and then we get a reverse shot of Sue Storm is there, the Invisible Woman, and she's in this reality with them. Theoretically, according to the logic that this book has set up, if their powers are back, this has to be there too, because they've met other Reeds and Sues from the multiverse.
And it doesn't work.
They didn't at least make the point that it would have staved off them losing their powers.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they addressed that or not.
I'm pretty sure they said, like, it's only attuned to your Reed and Sue.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
One thing I'm wondering, I wonder if this is a fake out and this is like Rachna and she's figured out how to sort of use the signature so that they can have their powers. You know?
Somehow this has to be a fake out. There's no fucking way. If this is real Sue, how the fuck does this book coexist with that Fantastic Four book? So it's going to drive me insane. It has to be a fake out.
So also I read on Twitter that Chip Zdarsky, I think, said 9 and 10 of Marvel 2-in-1 take place before Fantastic Four.
That's definitely the implication. But in that case, this can't be Sue Storm. Then.
Yes. But then the next one's
still...
Wait, after 10, I need to tell you.
Talking about them being dead.
After 10, he said that it was like after Fantastic Four number 3 or something like that, which is fucking weird.
That probably just means like that they are no longer behind. Like 10 is probably the point at which, like, I'm guessing Fantastic Four number 3 will have come out by the time 10 comes out. And so this story, because it's a specific arc, is taking place in a condensed amount of time, and the Fantastic Four book takes place after it.
Yeah.
Which is confusing, but sure.
Whatever.
I feel like it spoils this plot point because I feel like there's no way that this can be the real Sue Storm. Like,
definitely.
If that book didn't exist, I would have totally been like, oh shit, they found Sue.
Yeah, or Sue found them.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really weird. Like, I really just want to think that book doesn't exist. I kind of wish I didn't read it. Like,
I want to read that book because I want to read a Fantastic Four book, but also like so far, and it's only fair to be fair, it's only one issue in, but like I'm enjoying this book so much more.
Yeah.
Than the first issue of that book, and it fucks with the continuity and
it fucks with what makes the story good a lot.
Yeah, it fucks with like the character work and the like the emotional beats and shit. Like it's hard to reconcile those things in your head. And like if these things were years apart or whatever, like some stories go back on and undo certain things and whatever. But like if you at least have a little bit of buffer time between them, you can adjust.
Yeah.
But like these being literally overlapping in time in the world, in the comic world in a weird way. It's so confusing and frustrating, and I don't... Ugh.
No, I know. I just, yeah. Remember when we, like, weren't sure about this book? Like, when we first picked it up, like, it's just like, I wonder, like, I'll pick this up, whatever, I'll check it out.
Well, I really liked the first issue.
No, the first issue, I'm talking about, like, before, like, you read the first issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know what to think about Chip Zdarsky before this book. Like,
yeah.
All I knew him from was, like, he writes wacky comedy Marvel books like Howard the Duck and, like...
Really?
Yeah, like the comedy Spider-Man book. Like, there's a Spider-Man book that is specifically like, this is the humor one.
Interesting.
And I think that's ending. Anyways, like, that's his kind of shtick up until this book.
Yeah.
And this was kind of like the more dramatic turn from him. It's still very funny.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's got a lot more kind of depth to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't read those other books. Maybe they also have that, but...
In any case, yeah, it's a shame, but, you know, we'll just see how they continue the story. It's great. It's great in and of itself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Doug, and spoilers, What do we got next week? Why don't you read it off? It's a great week. We get the Donny Cates double penetration.
So we're getting Death of the Inhumans. We're also getting Cosmic Ghost Rider.
I'm so happy they come out at the same time.
Yeah. So the highlights I wrote down here, there are more books than this, but these are the ones that I think I'm most excited about in terms of the stuff that that we share. New issue of Black Science is coming out. I feel like it's been more than a month.
What was the last thing? Was the last thing when they were talking about spoilers for Black Science? Was the last thing like they were at the thing and they fell through the hole with the antimatter and stuff?
Yes, they like jumped
to the center of the onion.
Cosmic drill or whatever. They're trying to go to the center of the onion.
Yeah.
And they went to with the weird alien angel, like, centipede angel, guys who've been like monitoring everything they've been doing.
The Watchers.
I assume, there's some kind of weird watchery things. I assume they're somehow in control or monitoring they're like the Monitors or the Watchers or any of that specific comic book trope. So I'm excited. That was a big cliffhanger, and I'm excited to see where that goes. We're getting into the end game on that series.
Oh yeah.
We've also got Jeff Lemire's Quantum Age from the world of Black Hammer.
Yes.
And the first issue of Brian Michael Bendis and David Mack's cover.
Yeah, I was wondering about this one because on one hand, I'm interested in it, and I love Pearl, and I would love to read another Brian Michael Bendis with that guy on art. On the other hand,
it's a different guy.
Okay. In any case, on the other hand, the premise seems weird to me. Like,
it's
I don't know if I want to.
It seems a little self-referential and cheeky. So basically, the premise is like, what if being a comic book writer was your cover when you were a spy?
Yeah.
Which, okay.
It just makes me feel icky because it makes me feel like they're living out this fantasy.
Yeah, it makes it sound like it's a weird fantasy thing.
Yeah.
Like, what if I was a spy? Which not even necessarily icky, just like, I don't know.
I don't know if I want to indulge in that, you know?
It feels like a weird wish fulfillment fantasy thing. And like that, I don't know. That doesn't sound like the seed of a good story. But I don't know. I liked Pearl a lot, that first issue, and I've been liking Bendis's other stuff over at DC.
Yeah.
So, I might pick it up. I don't know. I have a big week next week. But I'll probably flip through it. It'll depend on, like, if I think the book looks cheesy or not, I think is really what's going to determine it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of tone-ish. I think I might wait for you on that one. I'm trying to see if I have anything that you're not reading next week. I know we have Avengers as well. We have Justice League as well. Oh, I have Paradiso. Oh, yeah, I have a big week. I don't know if I'm going to pick this up. I think I'm going to wait for you on this one.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm very excited. And I know this is not next week, but I am eagerly awaiting the following week in Cemetery Beach, which is the new Warren Ellis
I remember the solicit for that.
Ellis image series that is basically a like
it's kind of the island of Dr. Moreau, right?
Espionage / conspiracy action series.
Yeah, I remember the solicit for that. I'm excited for that. Also, sorry, next week also United States of Murder Inc. or something is coming out. I don't know if that's a continuation of something though. Oh, it is.
It is United States of Murder is a book that Brian Michael Bendis wrote. In his Jinx World imprint at Marvel.
Okay. So he had like creative control and that's why he can take them or something? Or?
Yes, they're creator owned.
Creator owned
books.
Okay.
That was his creator owned line at over at Marvel.
Okay.
I think they were Icon books, which is an imprint.
Huh.
So maybe that was it. Anyways, that's coming out, but I don't have any context for what Murder Inc. is, or United States of Murder, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll take that off my list then.
Yep.
Okay, well, Doug, I think that's gonna be about do it, right?
Sure.
Okay. Or do you want to give a word on any of your books? Any of your old books that you're reading?
I mean, we don't have to get into a huge conversation about it, but I'm about 2/3, 3/4 the way through, speaking of Warren Ellis's Next Wave Agents of Hate.
Okay. Oh, that's the same thing. I didn't realize that. Is that a big thing? Is that, like, give me a sentence synopsis.
It is an absurdist high-action parody of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Huh.
Of, like, the organization of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, like, Nick Fury.
Is it a part of the big two, Marvel?
It is a Marvel book. It takes place in the Marvel universe.
Huh. Is it the future?
Yeah, nope. It was current continuity as far as I know when this book came out.
When did it come out?
I don't know.
2000s?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after Warren Ellis kind of made his big break onto the scene, which was around 2000. So this was probably mid to late 2000s.
What was his big break? Was it like the Wildstorm stuff that you were talking about, or what was it?
Yes. It would have been like Authority.
His
Stormwatch stuff before that. Yeah, Wildstorm stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, so like just to give you an idea of the kind of book this is, they are former spies of an organization called Hate, which is the highest anti-terrorism effort, which is run by a character named Dirk Anger. He's
Nick Fury.
Yeah, who is a like raging alcoholic, secretly depressed, racist, misogynist maniac, who runs the organization Hate from their, I need to find what this vehicle that they fly is.
Does it play off the Triskelion?
It is the Aeromarine, which is it is a submarine that flies.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's the helicarrier, but it's great. Jet. It is a jet submarine. It's a bunch of submarines connected together with a jet on it. It's equal parts like hilarious and also like, as with a lot of Warren Ellis stuff, like a masterclass on how to choreograph comic book action sequences.
Interesting. I really got to read Warren Ellis. I want to read the Authority stuff first, I think, for him. So
you think so? You don't want to try to jump in on Cemetery Beach with me 2 weeks from now?
Yeah. No, I want to do Cemetery Beach because I need to just read him. I just need to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to read something first. Authority is a fantastic book.
Yeah.
But, like, generally, pick any of the more kind of, like, action-adventure-oriented stuff from him. Like, I like some of his more kind of weird stuff as well.
Okay.
But, like, as an entry point, pick any kind of action-adventure series from him, and it's usually a pretty good time.
Because I read the Free Comic Book Day James Bond thing that was from him, Vargur.
Yes.
I really wasn't that impressed.
Oh, I love that book. It took me a couple issues to kind of like get the hang of it.
Okay.
And I wasn't huge on the art in that series.
Yeah. I
don't know that it was necessarily up to par with kind of the scripting.
Okay.
But if you kind of like squint at it metaphorically, not literally, but like you kind of mentally squint at it, you can kind of see through to like the intention of the storytelling behind it and like the scripting behind it.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I really like that James Bond series if you're ever curious about it. But yeah, read some other stuff first. That isn't the first thing I would point you to.
Okay.
By Warren Ellis.
Okay, dokes. Let me get a word out because I finished a couple things. I finished my first book of 52, which I'm really excited to continue. I also read Wonder Woman Earth 1 by Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette, which I think, speaking of all the Confiscate stuff, I think they used Steve Trevor being black pretty well in the story. And I thought it did pretty, I don't know. I thought I was going to think it was going to be dumb, but I think it lent itself to the central conflict with between Wonder Woman and her home island pretty well.
I just don't understand why it needs to be a plot motivated thing. I thought it was dumb that it had to have this plot tie-in. Like, it's a different version of Steve Trevor. Like, why can't he just be black? Like, why does it have to have this weird
reason?
This weird, like, ham-fisted metaphor about, like, I basically Grant Morrison saying to the reader, like, Steve Trevor is black because this point about, like, how it ties into his ancestors being slaves and what that says about, like, just, I don't know. Maybe if it was better integrated into the story in a less, like, obvious monologue-y way.
It was, like, just at the end. There was no, like...
But it felt like this kind of, like, it felt like it was Grant Morrison being like, and here's the explanation for why he's black, which I think is stupid.
I get that. It was a little lazy, I think. It could have been done better. I don't know. I thought I liked it. I didn't really sense it, which is kind of weird, actually, with me, because specifically with ham-fisted things, usually I get triggered from that.
It's not a huge part of the book, which, we've said when talking about this book off air, but, like, I don't know. It was just something that particularly irked me. I like the book in general. That part in particular bugs me.
I got you.
Yeah, like, if you want to make the character black, just make him black. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I have come completely around. I used to have this weird thing about so when they did the New 52, they changed Wally West, the new Wally West.
Oh,
they made him black.
Yeah.
And, because it was a new version of the character and it looked different at first, it felt like it was like, oh, we lost the old Wally West. And then they reintroduced old Wally West. And I slowly started to realize, like, this is kind of just like, it's made the new black version of Wally West feel useless and tacked on.
Yeah.
Which is kind of shitty. And also, like, it just made me realize, like, why it's so much more confusing to have two of them. Why couldn't you just give new Wally West, old Wally West memories?
Well, there's the Flash for you. There's Flash continuity.
Anyways, I really would have really preferred it if they had just given him the memories of old Wally West, and we could have just gone forward with Wally West being black, because it would have just made more sense, and also not made the new black version of the character useless and tacked on.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'm reading, I just read the first issue of Paybacks by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw, which is much different than God Country. And I just want to ask, for our last thing, Doug, hot take, what is more confusing? Continuity of The Flash or continuity of X-Men in the Fox?
Oh, God. Continuity of X-Men and Fox.
Yeah?
Like, I feel like Flash isn't that hard. There's some time travel stuff, but in general, it's pretty, like, they do it fairly infrequently, and usually when they do it, he goes forward in time.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I don't think Flash is all that confusing.
Okay. Good hot take. Everybody, that's gonna do it for this week. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Seriously, though, thank you. We are generally new still, even though we're 40. So the absolute biggest thing you can do for us if you like the show is give us a review or star rating on iTunes. And if you enjoyed what you heard, let someone know about us with your mouth or with your mouse. We release episodes weekly on Sundays, so be sure to check back in next week, or better yet, subscribe to this podcast feed and never have to think about it.
You can do that on pretty much any podcast app you prefer: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Google Play Music. We've got you covered.
Dude.
God damn it! Stop that.
Sorry.
That pun needs to die. In the meantime, before the next episode, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook under the handle @ComicsCovered. Can you say that technically Facebook we have a handle, and it is @ComicsCovered, but people don't really use those on Facebook.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Technically, that is a thing. like when I set up our page, it asked, like I set up what our @thing was on Facebook, but no one references those ever. And it's never surfaced in any of their stuff. Like, anyways.
I have no idea. I don't know, man.
Anyways, we have a Comics Covered page on Facebook, is the point. You can find archives of all our episodes at comicscovered.libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN.com. And on our YouTube channel or Facebook. If you want to get a hold of us with a question or feedback, send us a message. On Facebook or Twitter, or our email, comicscovered@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to us rant this week. I feel like there was a lot of rant.
There's a decent amount,
me.
But it's fun, you know? It's fun rant.
I'm fun ranting. I'm Doug.
I'm Jiggity Jack, and this has been Comics Covered.
I'm not calling you that.
Cheerio.